What's up, YouTube? Welcome to the Credit Plug channel. So for today's video, we have a very special guest that we're having on our channel. We have Liz Murillo, business operations from Boom Pay. Now, as a lot of you guys know, a couple weeks ago, we did a review on Boom Pay. So Boom Pay allows you to report your rental payment history to all three major credit reporting agencies. They also have another product called Boom Split. You could basically split up your rent payment over the course of the month. So it gives you a little bit more extra, time to pay your rent. So pleasure to have you here, Liz. I know a lot of our subscribers have a lot of questions. This product definitely drew a lot of attention. So glad to have you to answer some questions and tell us a little bit more about Boom Pay. So welcome to the channel.
No, thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here, answer the questions, and help shed more light on what we're doing and how impactful it can be for your credit.
Absolutely. So I believe I came across Boom Pay. I do a lot of research on Crunchbase, which has information on a lot of different tech companies. So I decided to check it out. It was very interesting. I'm also familiar with some of the other similar fintechs like Rental Karma, Rent Reporters. So, what makes Boom Pay different from some of those companies?
So Boom Pay is unique because we have not just a rent reporting feature. When you look at the rental space, there is not just this feature of, it's not very rewarding for a lot of renters. And so here, what we want to do is create products that make this experience rewarding, meaning you already pay this very large expense for your rent. You might as well get credit for it on your reports. And then we can completely understand the state of the economy and where our finances are and how hard it is to manage this very large expense in the beginning of the month. So, we just want to build out these products. And I think what makes us very different from other companies is the added features. Plus, we are doing this at a very economical cost for to make a product that renters can actually afford.
In terms of like costs, right? What can you kind of break down what it would cost a consumer who decides to sign up for Boom Pay or Boom Report rather? What is the monthly cost, initial setup fee? What does that look like?
Yeah, so I'm going to talk about first just Boom Report. So with Boom Report, that's a way to report your rent payments to all three major credit bureaus. And that's $10 to enroll, $25 to report your past history, so up to 2 years of history, and a year of ongoing for $24, which is about $2 a month. So if I do my quick calculations, that's $59. It's $59 and you get 2 years of rental history and a year of ongoing with a 0 monthly subscription associated with that. And that's important. One of the conversations we're going to get into is about budgeting and just not having, even if it's a low monthly subscription cost, you don't want to have to budget that into your already large expenses for the rest of the month.
So I wanted to piggyback on one of the things you just said about the backdated history. So that's really interesting. I talk about this all the time, how having aged credit data on your report could be very beneficial. So for example, what's the process in terms of like getting the past payment history reported on your credit report? How do you guys figure that out? And sort of could you go through the process of how you're able to report payment history from months prior?
Yes. So reporting rental history is if you were going to enroll in one thing with Boom Report and you can't maybe afford to report a year of ongoing, please enroll in past reporting. That is where you are going to see the biggest bang for your buck, because what you're doing is you're adding 24 months instantaneously to your credit report if you've been renting there for that long. So the way it'll work is once you enroll, we'll need two things from you. We'll need you to upload a copy of your lease, and we'll need you to link the bank account you pay your rent from. And the great thing about adding these two things into our process, this means that there is no landlord involvement. This is huge because if you've worked with other rent reporting companies, what you'll notice is they'll have to contact your landlord. And sometimes your landlord's going to get back and say, hey, this is not my job. I already have so much going on. I don't want to participate. This is just an added job for me. So now we're putting you in control of adding this onto your report. So adding the lease is going to help us verify your tenancy and help us build that rental trade line. And then by linking the bank account you pay your rent from, we use a system called Plaid, which is used universally in the fintech space. I can go more into Plaid, but basically we have an API that's built with them, and they're going to flag potential rent payments for us and say, hey, this person pays by check to this person. Here are some transactions we found made to them. You can verify this. So we view those and we say, hey, rent payments were made. If there was any discrepancies, like I know some of the questions that have come in around roommates, sometimes it's either half the rent or it's alternating. We just ask that you connect with our team, let us know what's going on, and we can help verify everything with you. And if needed, we're unable to verify it for whatever reason, maybe your bank isn't listed with Plaid, we're happy to do a landlord verification if we need to. We'll just always ask your permission before we do so.
Got it. Got it. Okay. So from what you said, like there's several different ways of validating that past rental history using Plaid, where they could look to see if there's any payments that might resemble you paying rent. And then the other way, I guess maybe it's sort of the alternative. I know a lot of people who may not pay their rent from their bank account. They might do a money order. They might pay with cash. In that case, would you go along the route of actually contacting the landlord and just verifying it through that way?
We typically, so right now at this time, because we are one of the only rent reporting companies that reports to Experian, we're unfortunately unable to report any cash or money orders at this time. As soon as that changes, which we are hoping to do potentially in the future, we will let it be known in the enrollment process. If you try to select cash or money orders, we'll let you know at this time we can't verify, but we'll have your information. So that way we'll be able to contact you again when we are ready to start reporting those types of payments. But so any form of digital payment, I know a lot of questions we've got, well, what if I pay by Zelle, Venmo, PayPal, all of these, new services that are out there that are going to allow us to pay our rent, our landlords digitally, we can actually verify those as well through Plaid. It's just important to link the account that's also linked to your Venmo account or to your PayPal or to your Cash App. So anything that isn't a money order or cash, we are able to verify.
Excellent, excellent. So another thing I wanted to talk about is what are some of the benefits, like long term? What role does having your previous history of your rent payments? What role does that play in opening up opportunities later down the road?
Great question. And I feel like this is something, rent reporting is very new to the credit industry, let's just say about 10 years. And I feel like the rental trade line has not been talked about in the details that it should. So I'm going to quickly go into that. With the rental trade line, the bureaus only allow any company to report 24 months of backdated history. But the great thing about that is your lease start date is the date that the trade line is open. So on average, renters in the United States are renting anywhere between 7 to 10 years. So I'm going to go on the lower scale at 7 years. That's an instantaneous 7-year trade line, which is very impactful for your credit age. And then we're adding 24 months of those payment history onto your report. And as you know, if you know the 5 factors that go into calculating your score, those are the top 2 factors that go into it. Another thing that's so great about a rental trade line is there's no hard inquiry. So if you've been attempting to get credit, if you're either credit invisible or credit unscorable, which is another big
Right.
problem that we have here for people that they're having a hard time accessing those opportunities. There's no hard inquiry. There's no we don't need to do any of that. If you're a renter, we can add this for you. And the type of trade line that it is it falls into the other category. So some people are worried, well, hey, if my rent is $1,000, isn't that going to dramatically impact my debt to income ratio? Aren't I going to add another $1,000 in debt? Rental trade lines don't carry debts month to month. So it doesn't impact your debt to income ratio. It also won't impact your utilization ratio. And it's a different type of trade line. It's not revolving, it's not an installment. So it's going to help add some diversity to your credit report, which is, it's really hitting all the major aspects of the algorithm for your score. So just in itself, you know, on average, we see customers receive about a 40 point increase. That's going to change depending on the other factors that are on your
Exactly.
score today. You know, if you are credit shopping or you've just maxed out a card, that's going to, you know, kind of
Right, right.
prevent the needle from moving over potentially as much as it could. But the biggest impact is with people in the like who are credit on scorable and credit invisible. The data suggests, and you know, HUD has done a lot of research on this as well. If you're credit invisible and credit on scorable, today you have no score. Just by adding your rental trade line, the average impact is 680. And 680 can really help at least get you started right away. So just by improving your credit score, let's go on the average 40 points. 40 points is huge for opening and unlocking financial opportunities for you. Not only could it potentially make you more desirable to future like creditors if you're trying to get a loan for maybe a home. It's going to also just, you know, you can help now refinance some of these larger interest rates that you have. The larger your interest rate, even by like 1%, can save you thousands of dollars. So it kind of puts
Absolutely.
you in an opportunity where you can renegotiate with some of these credit cards that you might have and say, hey, can you rerun like my algorithm? Can you see if my interest rate can be lowered? I now have a better score. And just by doing that, you're going to find a huge impact in your ability to open up more money. You know, interest is such a killer because it really just takes away from you're spending more money from something you don't have to. And
Absolutely.
yeah, there's so much more I can get into. What 40 points can do for you
Yeah.
is huge. It can open up homes if you are just trying to move to perhaps a better apartment. Now that you have a rental trade line, you're not going to just have a better score when they look at it. They're going to now see a trade line on your report that shows you've never defaulted on a rent payment. So now you're more desirable to that landlord because when they run your credit score, that's what they're more interested in. So if your score isn't great, you can say, but hey, let me pull all my credit reports for you. You can see my rental trade line is there. I had some potentially other issues when my score is not high. Perhaps you had a file for bankruptcy. I'm just running scenarios here.
Right, right.
What your landlord is going to see or potential new landlord is going to see, but I have never defaulted on a rent payment. And here is the proof. And that for them might just be enough to say, hey, let's unlock this opportunity for you.